Hi everyone, this is Caly. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am sharing a platform pop-up card using some newer products from the recent summer release from Lawnfawn. And as summer comes to an end, I'm sure everyone is trying to fit in their last minute vacation, so I thought it would be fun to create a vacation card. I have the Car Critters Road Trip add-on here and also the original Car Critters set so that we can stamp that little car and stamp the additional add-on images as well for our card today. Between the Car Critter set and the Car Critter add-ons, including the Christmas one, there are lots of cute critters to use, but I absolutely adore this fox and this bear with his sunglasses. Very appropriate for a summer card. Okay, so as you can see, there are only 2 images to color here. I'm going to speed through that since we have lots of paper piecing and ink blending to do later for our platform pop-up. I'm coloring my car very simply with a denim blue color. All of the colors will be linked on the blog post, so be sure to check out the blog post for more details if you are trying to catch the color combinations. I know this is going pretty quickly. Because the areas on these images are so tiny, they only require 2 markers to color for these particular images. Some areas I use 3, but most only 2 markers, so super simple coloring. So I'll die cut those out and set them aside, and now we'll work on our platform pop-up. So here's the platform pop-up die, and that base die is going to be cut twice, and I've die cut it already in white cardstock off camera. Also going to want 2 pieces of the platform pop-up hillside wraparound, which is this piece here that I've removed from my magnet card. And I haven't die cut that yet because I want to do all my ink blending before I die cut that, just to prevent any harsh lines from ink blending. On the box, I'm not so worried because those crease marks are going to be hidden. But for the wraparound, you're going to see it all the way around the box, so I don't want any harsh lines before I die cut. So I'm ink blending first using some Distress Oxide here in Gathered Twigs. And this is going to be the base of the box, and I want it to be sandy, so it's going to be a brown color. And once I'm done ink blending a soft brown on that for my sand color, I'm going to go ahead and die cut both of those. So once I have my 2 wraparound pieces, I'm going to add some texture because I again, want to create sand. So I'm using some Copic markers. You can also splatter with paint if you want. I just didn't want to deal with the mess. So I'm using Copic markers. It's a very easy thing to do, just to stipple 3 or 4 different shades of browns to create that sand texture. So again, if you want a list of these colors, be sure to check out that blog post. I went ahead and stippled with 3 colors, a dark, medium, and light brown, and as I went up towards the top, I stippled a little bit more with the lighter colors. Next, I want to create a sunset background, and again, I'm going to ink blend before I die cut. I'm using the Beach Sunset stencils. I want to create a sunset backdrop. So what I'm going to do is hold my paper in place. You can use a stencil mat or a sticky mat of some sort, any tool you'd like. It's just easy for me to hold it down with my fingers. Sometimes I'm really good about using those tools and supplies that I have, and sometimes I'm not. So anyway, I'm ink blending the sun here with some squeezed lemonade, Distress Oxide, and then with fossilized amber to get that nice gradient of color in there for the sunset. And then I'm going to use that fossilized amber for the sun's reflection on the water as well. So as you can see, I'm using a piece of cardstock there to kind of mask off the 2 areas on the horizon. You can also use Post-it tape or some sort of masking tape if that's easier for you. And then I'll go ahead and ink blend the sky with tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink. And then for the ocean water, I'm going to use Salty Ocean. I thought that was appropriate for the water. And I'll just do a soft blend of color across that reflection as well because it is on the water. And then to add to that sunset, I wanted to add some birds from this stencil. So I'm using some Storm Cloud ink from Lawnfawn. Now I'm done with my backdrop, so I'm going to go ahead and die cut that using that platform pop-up add-on die, and then I can burnish those folds. And then I'll pull in my box components that I die cut and ink blended earlier as well. If you're a Lawnfawn fan, I'm sure you've seen this box put together several times, so you'll know that you need to score and burnish all of the folds on every piece needed to construct the box. I've done 1 box panel, and each box panel constructs half of the box. So I've done 2 of those for the box base, and then now I have 2 for the box wraparound. Okay, so each of these pieces is going to have an end tab where you'll want to put some strong double-sided adhesive tape or liquid glue if you don't mind holding it for a few seconds while it dries. I'm putting together that wraparound first for that platform pop-up, and once I've adhered this together to create a wraparound or almost like a belly band, I can go ahead and set that aside and we can start working on our platform pop-up base. Before I construct my box, I knew that I wanted this on the road die image to be at the top, so when you're viewing the box from the top down, you can see that the car is sitting on the road. So I've die cut the road here using some storm cloud cardstock, and I'm just going to piece these white sideline markers on the sides, and I've also die cut the two T pieces that go into the platform pop-up box so that you can adhere images to it. I went ahead and die cut two. I knew that I wasn't going to use the one in the very back, so I decided to just only cut two, one for the center of the box and one for the front of the box. So right now I'm taking a look at how that road is going to sit on top of this box, and I'm butting that bottom of the road to the first portion of the first half of the box, if that makes sense, and I'm drawing a line so that I know where to cut so that that piece is going to fit on that front portion of the box well. And then because there's that slit there that I need to put one of those T markers through, I'm going to use the die, the platform pop-up box die, to make sure that that slit is in the proper place, and that's the only reason why I didn't use scissors to cut off the two ends of the road, if that makes sense. And I wanted the yellow markers at the center, so instead of adding another layer of cardstock back there, which is with the die, it comes with the die, I went ahead and just used a Copic marker to color that open slot yellow. Okay, so now that first portion is done, I can go ahead and adhere the second part of the road onto that back portion of my box. And that's okay that the road tapers off and doesn't go all the way to the end of the box. It's not really a big deal. Okay, so now because I made sure that my road was gray and I cut these T markers in gray, I'm going to make sure to trim down the sides where that road ends so that it doesn't overlap and look funny from the front of the card. So I marked where the road ends, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim off the two sides as well as that bottom tab portion of this T marker. I'm not going to need that. And then leave that first one alone, and we're going to start and put our box together by putting that into that little slit first. So you want to fold that little tab back, and then you want to add double-sided adhesive to it. I'm using 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and add double-sided adhesive to the rest of the tabs on the platform pop-up as well. So there's the tab there at the center going across, and there's also a tab on the side where the scalloped edges that you see. And so here to put in my T, and there's several ways you can do this. This is what's easiest for me. I put it through that little slit, and I'm going to pull it up and make sure that I can see that the end of that T is flush and straight across the top of the box or the road that you see there before I press down that small tab where I put that adhesive on that T marker. Then without flipping my box in any direction, I'm going to go ahead and remove the lining of that adhesive on the top tab and then fold that scalloped edge over it. So you'll see me do it again here on the second half of the box. I don't have a T marker for this, but constructing the box is the same. I'm going to remove that adhesive backing and then take the top scalloped edge and push it down onto that tab to secure it in place. So now you can see we have that road when we're looking at the top of the box. Now I can go ahead and secure the two sides together. I've removed my liner, and I'm making sure to line up the scalloped edge at the top and the bottom where it's straight. Then I'll add adhesive to the center of the box where it's going to adhere to the other side. And before we adhere those together, I'm going to go ahead and line up that second T that I had trimmed off, and then add some adhesive to the center of that for some stability as well. I'll remove all of the backing of the adhesive and then secure my box together. And then now we have the platform pop-up box constructed. All right, so we have that wraparound belly band that we created. I'm going to use some tape runner and go all along the bottom edge of the platform pop-up, and then I'll take that wraparound panel of the sand that we created, and then I'll pop it into place. It kind of slides in kind of snug, but that's what we want. And then that adhesive will hold it in place even more, even though it probably won't slide out because of how snug that is. And then I can use 1/8 inch double-sided tape to adhere our sunset backdrop to the back of our card. And it fits perfectly right there on the lip of the box towards the back. And now we have a platform pop-up box with a beach and sunset scene. I've got the images here that I colored at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere the car trip accessories to the top of the car and then adhere the car to the road. Now there's that little T-tab piece that's sticking up, and that's what we're going to adhere the car to. And it isn't straight, which I think adds a little bit of charm to these car critters. And to add some accessories in the background, I decided I wanted to do some palm trees. So these are the palm tree dies, and I've die cut 3 small trees and 1 large tree. And I die cut the brown using some woodgrain cardstock, and then that green with cilantro cardstock, and this little crab using some raspberry cardstock. And then I ink blended everything with some coordinating ink to give it some color. Right now I'm just using some black cardstock to put behind the openings for the eyes and the mouth on this little crab. And if you're interested in the colors, that was cranberry for the lobster, and then mowed lawn distress oxide ink for the palm tree leaves, and then the gathered twigs, which I used earlier for the sand panels on the tree trunks. Okay, so I'm adhering all of the coconuts to the trees and piecing all of them together. And because we trimmed down that center T, I needed to extend it a little bit, so I had something to adhere the palm trees to. So I just cut a thin strip of white cardstock and adhered it to the back of that gray panel for the road T's at the center. And then I am just popping it up a little bit to help me with adhering the little palm trees into the center of my platform pop-up. Then I adhered that cute little crab on the front of the box, and then secured a sentiment that I pre-stamped and embossed earlier. And last but not least, I wanted to give some interest to all these little paper pieced images as well as my Copic colored images. So I'm adding lines and dots in various areas all over these images to create lots of interest and pop for you. And that finishes our Beach Car Critters platform pop-up box. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to check out the coordinating blog post again for all the color combinations. Everything will be linked below for your convenience. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you all get to enjoy the rest of your summer. Bye, everyone.